and welcome back or welcome to my channel. In today's video I am going to recreate an old video on festival camping tips and tricks. In this video I'm going to cover packing essentials, tips, tricks and things that I've found useful over the years as a festival camper. So whether you're a beginner camper or a veteran, this may be very helpful for you. So I've been festival camping probably about 8 times now throughout my life. I first went to Download in 2010 and most recently last year. Although I was camping in ROP, so naturally I do pack more now that I am in ROP because I camp literally right next to my car, so I don't have to worry about the trek from the car park to the campsite and making like multiple trips. But I'll be giving you my tips on how to effectively and efficiently do your camping experience. So first things first, you're going to need a tent, and I personally have the Sendero 4. It's a 4-man tent for, I know, just one person, but I can stand up in that. It has a massive porch where I can sit out of the rain, and for me it's a perfect size. It makes my whole weekend very comfortable and I wouldn't change it unless I was carrying it. Then I would probably go back to my old tent, which is still a 4-man tent, however it doesn't have the porch area. I did actually do a video on the Sendero 4, so if you're interested in seeing that, go check it out. And yeah, give me a thumbs up if you like it, and give a comment if you want to ask me any questions on the tent. So first things first, we're going to talk camping essentials. So first of all, you will need a tent. As I said before, I've got the Sendero 4, but the sizing, you really want to go, if you're going to just go with you need a 2-man tent because it classes as yourself and your luggage. So if there's 2 of you, I'd go for a 4-man tent. If there's 3 of you, I'd go for a 6-man tent. You get the idea. You just double up on the sizes per person, and then you have space for your luggage as well. So if you're going to get a trolley, and I do recommend getting a trolley, I would recommend getting one with 4 wheels. Do not go for the 2 wheels. I can assure you it will ache your arms and you will definitely regret getting 2 wheels instead of 4. So a few years ago when I camped in eco camping, I brought my 4-wheeled trolley along, and it was only like 40 quid I think on Amazon, and I used it for 2023 and I made 2 trips to and from the car. I would definitely not do it in one. It depends how much stuff you've got really. I would definitely recommend doing multiple trips. Do not painstakingly try and do it in one trip because you'll be very tired, very achy, and you'll just put too much strain on yourself that you don't really need to. There's no bands the first day you arrive, if you're arriving Wednesday that is. So there's no rush. You can do it at a leisurely pace. Your first trip, just bring all your camping essentials like your tent, sleeping gear, bring a few cans of drink, maybe your camping chair as well, and then after you've set your tent up you can like chill at the camp for a little bit, and then when you're ready, do your second trip to the car. Now we have sleeping essentials. So I use a single airbed and I have an electric pump to pump it up, and I'll also recommend putting a thin sheet under your airbed because part of the reason why airbeds deflate during the night is because of the cold, because when you pump it up it's usually like in the day when it's warm, air molecules tend to expand when it's warm, and then when it's cold they contract, so hence why it feels like you're losing air in your airbed, but it might just be the case that it's down to the cold. However, if you have an electric pump you can just put that on for a few seconds and your airbed will be pumped up again. You can also get a foot pump, although they are quite annoying. Like you can hear them from ages away going sorry. Jeez. So other sleeping essentials, I would pack a sleeping bag. And during the night, it does get cold and you will need layers. So I personally take a long sleeved jumper, long jogging bottoms, and then over the top of that, I wear a full onesie. And I'm generally fairly warm at night. Yeah, in my sleeping bag, and then I have a duvet over the top. I haven't always brought a duvet with me. It was only because last year in ROP I had the space and I didn't really have to cart it a long distance from my car. Hence why I thought, nah, I'll get extra luxuries because I can. Although something like a thin blanket will not hurt. It's fairly lightweight and, you know, it may be a little bit bulky, but that's why you do multiple trips, you know. And this can double up as a place to sit. So if you don't bring a camping chair, you can just lay this on the ground if it's dry enough and just sit down. So something else I also bring is a picnic blanket. So this folds up fairly small, and this I like to use as a carpet in my tent, because when you've got nothing on your legs and you're kneeling down on your tent, it's not really a nice feeling having your skin sticking on the plastic sheeting. So I like to lay one of these down where it's like a soft, like felt material. It's just an extra added luxury. I'd also recommend taking spare tent pegs. So I've got a selection here. Got these ones which are very heavy duty. These are for hard ground, and I know in certain areas of the campsite there are very rocky areas, so hence why I opted for those, although I didn't need them in the end. And then these were just like spare standard tent pegs. They're very long. They're 7 inches. I think I might have picked them up in Go Outdoors. I think they were like £4, if I remember rightly. Yeah, pack of 10. As I said, they're just for spare. In my tent bag, I've got a multiple range of tent pegs. Some are bent, to be fair, so I do need to have a little sort out of them. Like chuck away the bent ones and, I don't know, maybe stock them up with some of these. Reach. Okay, so I've got all my camping stuff set up on the sofa bed behind me. So another thing people forget to bring is a mallet. So this is so handy. Like, as I said before, the ground at download is so rocky. If you do have rocks in the ground, it's gonna help get that peg down and, like, you know, push that rock away. So this is a rubber mallet. I think you can get wooden ones, but this one works really well. I've had it for quite a few years now, but I think you can pick these up in Go Outdoors for like £5. I don't really know what the going rate is for these days. This is a proper sturdy metal shaft, if you like, and a very solid handle. Wow, I don't know if you can see, but it's definitely got a few dents in the ends. And then also you would need a peg extractor, because once your peg is right in the ground, it's often like proper dug in the soil. So this, you just like, you know, wiggle it in and then you pull it out. And yeah, this, like, especially with the handle, you can get proper leverage behind it. I know some people use like tent pegs to like do it. It depends how soft the ground is. If it's soft enough, you can just use a tent peg. Although this is very cheap, like it's not that heavy, so you might as well pack it. So these two items are very handy. This one to put your tent up, this one to take your tent down. So Download has certain rules when it comes to prohibited items, and that includes glass. So I have this mirror, which is, it's just plastic. You know, it has a stand. I can't remember where I got this from. Yeah, it might have been Poundland actually. This mirror was fairly inexpensive and it's not glass. Sorry, am I shining? So for the girls that like to do their makeup and you want to have a mirror, make sure you have a mirror that is not glass. Otherwise, if they find it in your bag and confiscate it, you won't have a mirror to use. And another thing, gas stoves are not allowed. So I've got this Hexi stove, although Hexi fuel blocks are not allowed anymore. So I've just ordered on Amazon a Dragon fuel stove. So it's a little bit modified to this. It has like a tray in the centre where you put the gel fuel, and yeah, it's very similar to this, like in style, where it's like a collapsible tray, and I think it goes like that, and then you rest your mess tin on the top. And I'd also recommend bringing reusable cutlery. So this is like a camping set. It unclips and it's a trio of spoon, fork and knife. It's a fairly blunt knife, so I'm pretty sure they'll let you bring them in. And this knife also has a bottle opener attachment, although you're not allowed glass, so that is useless. And for those that like their morning coffee, I bring a unbreakable mug. This is just like an enamel coated tin mug. I think that's what it's made of. Although last year I don't think I actually used this. Yeah, I didn't make myself a hot drink in the morning. I always just like started on the beers or the mixer cans, as you do, breakfast beer and all. And you will also need a collapsible water bottle. So this I think is like 10 litre in size. I don't fill it all the way up because it gets very heavy. So you take this empty, as I said, it collapses down, very small, and there's water points all over the campsite where you can fill these up. I never go through the whole thing, to be fair. I always have to empty it out at the end, but it's just handy to have in your tent and water readily available at your campsite. Another thing I found handy last year was this small dustpan and brush. Because it was wet last year, when the mud dried in the porch area of my tent, I used this to just like sweep it all up and basically keep it tidy. So people tend to bring full toilet rolls with them, although I tend to opt for just pocket tissues, because do you really need a whole roll on a visit to the loo? Like, a packet of pocket tissues is going to be more than enough for a visit to the toilet. Plus download tends to keep the portaloos fairly topped up, so you might not even need these at all. It's only if you get caught short. Although if you do want added luxury, bring some wet toilet wipes with you. I also bring these travel johns with me, and they're basically like a disposable urinal. Apparently they can be used for vomit, but I only really use them for pee. I only really tend to use these like late at night when it's cold and I just can't be bothered to leave the tent when it's all warm in there, and yeah, it's just pure laziness. Although being an ROP, I have no excuse because the portaloos are not that far a walk away, but it's still the fact that I'm leaving the tent when it could be potentially pissing it down with rain and I just want to keep dry in my tent. So having a couple of these in the tent is quite handy. And then once you've used it, just pop it in a bin bag and throw it away. This water bottle is probably a little bit too big, but bring a reusable water bottle with you. You can get multiple types. You can get foldable pouches which pack down very small. Even get ones like these that has a built-in straw, even marks out how much you need to drink during the day. Has a handy carry handle. Although last year what I did was I took a bottle of Lucozade in, and then when I was finished drinking that, I would then fill that up with water throughout the day, so I wouldn't have too much, weight I'm carrying. If you are going to be doing cooking in your campsite, I'd recommend bringing stuff to clean your equipment with. So there's a little bit of washing up liquid in here, a sponge, tea towel, just keeps everything clean. And bring some bin bags because you don't want your campsite being a complete mess. What I tend to do is tie this up to one of the poles on my tent and I just leave the bag open, then people can deposit rubbish in as and when. And then I have like loads multiple for spare. I think between us in camp we only probably filled up like 2 or 3 bin bags. Plus these are handy for other things other than putting rubbish in. So you can take them into the arena, lie down as something to sit on if the ground is a little bit wet, put your clothes in to stop them getting wet as well. Like, it really depends what the weather's like. And as the festival is in June, the sun rises at like 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, so you are going to want a blackout eye mask. So this one is very comfortable to wear. It has padded eye cushions around the eyes. And because of the padding, the actual eye area is inset. So when you wear this, your eyelashes doesn't actually touch the eye mask. So that is so comfortable, especially those with eyelash extensions. Not that I have them, but like, I'm sure there are girls out there that has eyelash extensions, and you know, the last thing you want is for something to be pushing on your eyelashes, and that would probably feel uncomfortable. You can adjust this strap that goes around the back of your head. Very handy. I think this only cost me £4, so very inexpensive, and it really does give you a good night's sleep. And you can sleep while it is very bright in your tent. Like, there's no light getting through this at all. And while we're on sleep comfort, take a pair of earplugs, because at Download Festival we are under a flight path, as we're next to East Midlands Airport and planes do go throughout the night. There are probably a couple of hours where they don't fly, but the majority of the time there are airplanes flying overhead. And if you're someone like me that likes to use your phone a lot for videos, photos, bring yourself a power bank. So this one is the Anker 20,000 milliamp hour size. I think I'll probably get 4 charges out of this power bank, and I actually have 2 of these, plus like multiple small ones that I've collected over the years. And I also have a smartwatch that needs charging, so I bring my charger along and I use a power bank to charge this up. It's only in recent years that I've thought about protecting my hearing, and so I invested in a pair of loop earplugs. Comes in this handy carry case with a little loop on the top, so you could like hook it on your bag or something, and your earbuds just fit into this little carry case. That's the design. They have like a little circle hole thing. So while I'm watching the bands, I wear my loop earplugs, especially if I'm very close to the stage or in one of the tents. It just reduces the sound a few decibels and protects your hearing. You'll thank yourself later in life. I recently bought this for a trip to London to protect my phone. So this part just pops in your phone, this sticks out for your charging port, and then you clip this onto it. And then this goes over your head, obviously. And you can wear it multiple ways. You can wear it as like a crossbody. And not that it happens a lot at Download, like people stealing phones. It just keeps it on you, so if you do happen to drop it, it's not going to leave your body. It's going to be attached here. And even if it's muddy and you drop it, you're not going to drop it. It's going to be attached to you. So this is handy, not just for pickpocketing reasons, but to protect your phone and not losing it. So this year, if it is like the weather we had in 2023, I am going to bring my sun hat, and I'll also need a pair of sunglasses. To be fair, even if it's cloudy and just bright, I always wear a pair of sunglasses. It just saves you from squinting. I also like my creature comforts, so I bring a proper pillow, and this is just your average hollow fibre one. Yeah, I brought this for last year along with my duvet. This pillowcase is so soft, and this pillow is just so... I had such a good night's sleep every night at Download last year. I know it's bulky, but I would definitely recommend bringing a proper pillow. So I'm a sort of person that likes to shower every day, and at Download, one thing I'd recommend you taking is a pair of sliders or Crocs or whatever alternative brand is out there. These ones are by Hot Tuna. They're not actually proper Crocs, although they look very identical. So because these are fully plastic, you can get them completely wet in the shower and not worry about getting your trainers wet. Ice cream man, can you hear that? Last year I also wore these just around the camp because it was a lot easier putting these on than my walking boots, where the laces were like, you know the ones. And another thing that came in handy last year was my change robe. It's just a normal toweling change robe. So I've got this, it's got a hood. You literally just slip it on after you've had a shower, because those showers are not spacious enough to get changed after you've had a shower. So just slinging something like this on to walk back to your campsite, and then you can properly get dried and changed in your tent once you're back. So there's various medications you might need with you, such as paracetamol, ibuprofen, maybe Imodium, Gaviscon if you suffer from like heartburn or indigestion, and then any other personal medication you might need. So while we're on the subject of showers, I would recommend taking small toiletries, just because it doesn't take up too much room and it's not that heavy. And another thing I take with me is a detangling comb. So this is perfect because it's fully plastic, and I use this in the shower to get all the knots out of my hair. And for nighttime, you will need a tent lamp. So you can get them in various forms. This one takes batteries, this one is rechargeable. I take both just in case like one fails for whatever reason. And you'll also need a torch, because getting back to your tent with guy ropes everywhere is very hazardous. So just having a torch to highlight where the guy ropes are, yeah, bring a torch. I also bring little handy bits. So I've got electrical insulation tape for, I don't know, taping something to something. String, again, for tying something to something. Carabiners, again, for like maybe hanging something off something. Like, they might come in handy for something. How many times have I said something? And then this is just an old credit card that I had wrapped with Gaffa Tape. So yeah, you just literally pull off what you need, rip it off. There's, I don't know, probably a meter's worth on this card, and it packs down so tiny. Look at that. Yeah, you could probably just literally put it in your wallet. Like, it's so small. But obviously Gaffa Tape is handy for a lot of stuff, particularly if you have a rip or a hole in your tent. Yeah, this will save the day. I guess string would come in handy if you wanted to hang a flag up, or hang some tarpaulin to make a bit of a canopy for some sunshade, or even rain shade. Rain shade. Again, carabiners could be useful for hanging flags up. Tarpaulin, insulation tape. It just seems like something that would be useful. And I also bring a mini first aid kit. It's very basic, but it has a few plasters in, like little bandages, things to clean up wounds. So I guess if you've got some blisters and one pops, you have some anti-bac wipes in here to sterilise it, bandages to add padding, and plasters to keep the wound clean. So when it comes to footwear, I wear walking boots. So I've got a pair of waterproof ones, and inside them I've put a pair of memory foam insoles, and it just makes standing up so much more comfortable, because you're going to be on your feet all day and you just want that extra little bit of cushion. I think the insoles I got were from Shoe Zone, and it was like £5 for just one pair, but they last so long, and because it's memory foam, it just bounces back every time. So other things I take with me is a foldable camping chair. Now, I don't have that in the room with me to show you, but I'll insert a picture here. So with the Dragon Fuel blocks, you will probably need a long reach lighter, because if you're trying to light that with a normal lighter, you're probably going to burn yourself. Now when it comes to the arena, there are certain rules. Your bag shouldn't be above A4 size, although I'm pretty sure people were getting away with larger backpacks, but it's best to err on the side of caution and follow the rules because they might not let you in with the bag. And you are allowed drinks in, although it needs to be a soft drink and in a sealed bottle under 500 ml. Another tip is to use what 3 words to locate your tent. So once you've set up camp, go on what 3 words and find out what the code is for your pitch and record it in your notes on your phone, and then if you can't remember, you just go to your notes, copy and paste that location code into what 3 words, and you will be able to find your tent. So back in 2023, I used what 3 words to locate where my car was parked. It wasn't so much of an issue for my tent because I was in eco camp and the area wasn't that massive. But to find the car, that was very handy. So if you're interested in seeing everything that I pack, I will insert a link into the description to show the checklist that I use. So that concludes my camping tips and tricks video. And if you've liked this video, why not give me a thumbs up? It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I'd also like you to subscribe. Just saying. Did you know 98% of my viewers are not subscribed? So let me know in the comments below, what tips in this video have you found useful? Are you an over-prepper or one of those last-minute packers? I personally am an over-prepper, hence why I'm making this video 2 months before the actual festival. But you can never be too prepared. And if this is your first festival, then you are very much in the right place to be watching this video. If you've made it this far, leave a rock hands symbol in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at download. That'll do, pig, that'll do.